Hey fun fans, welcome back to FRC Forecast. I'm your host Angel Miranda, bringing you the latest in FRC predictions for Week 3. We have a wide range of events ranging from Texas to Canada, from California to Illinois. We hope you'll join us for all of them, but remember, down below we have our chapters so you can look for your favorites and watch them now. For now, let's roll on with our forecast.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Discover how Kettering University students engineer their success with Kettering's amazing co-op employment programs where students earn great pay and gain valuable experience. Those accepted into Kettering University can apply for a robotics scholarship providing up to an additional $5,000 a year in tuition assistance. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more and apply. Support Fun's content creators when you sign up for a membership on YouTube Join. You'll get access to special perks like emotes, loyalty badges, and Fun members will even get early access to our scheduled videos and more. 100% of this revenue will go back to our correspondents to help recognize their efforts. Click the join button in any YouTube video to pledge your support.
Our first event takes us to California, where we have our own Stanford covering the Sacramento Regional. Stanford?
Coming up this weekend is California's most northern event, the Sacramento Regional. 38 teams will take to the field in a brand new venue, Elk Grove's Pleasant Grove High School. The event is the second longest running in California, with it first taking place in 2003. The recent history of this event has been dominated by two teams. Since 2022, those two teams have won 4 regionals together, and 2 of those victories were at Sacramento. Of course, also reappearing this year, they are our 2 locks for this event. I expect either one of them to rank first and then dominate the playoffs together. The first of these teams is the legendary 1678 Citrus Circuits. Celebrating 20 years of competition, the Davis squad will be entering Sacramento with 23 consecutive regional victories, including a win at Silicon Valley 2 weeks ago. Out on the field, they are unbelievably quick, using their over-the-bumper intake to great effect as they effortlessly pick up game pieces. They've also got some of the most effective auto routines we've seen so far, allowing them to grab the centerline notes pretty much before anyone else. With their slick amp mech and trap abilities, they are really world-beating at, it seems, pretty much everything in this game. That also includes driving, where it seems they basically never stop moving during their cycles. It's no wonder they're currently number 1 in EPA, and I fully expect them to pick up their 24th consecutive regional win this weekend. Our next lock for Sacramento is a team that needs very little introduction, and that's Team 254, the Cheesy Poofs. Much like Citrus, 254 will also be coming into this event with an insane streak, 19 regional wins in a row. The last time they didn't win a regional that they attended, I was in 2nd grade. Their robot looks quite similar to a lot of the other ultra-effective robots this year, with a turret, under-the-bumper intake, elevator that they use for trap and amp, and a tilting shooter. One thing that does look interesting is the fact that the shooter looks to compress the notes horizontally while their flywheels are on the top and bottom. Also, like high-tided Robonauts, it appears their turret doesn't have to rotate to a certain position to acquire a note. Both of these teams have proven how useful it is in both auto and teleop, so you can bet 254 will be taking full advantage of it this weekend. Once again, the Poofs look to have unleashed a winner, and I expect them to grab another banner alongside their friends from Davis. Moving on to our contenders, who could maybe interrupt our 2 all-conquering locks, I expect these teams to be a mild thorn in the powerhouse's sides this weekend. The first of these teams is 604 Quicksilver. Coming off a finals appearance in Silicon Valley in Week 1, the team from San Jose have once again created a high-performing machine. Swerving around the field with a slick over-the-bumper intake and tilting shooter that also scores in the amp, these 2-time World Championship division winners are a force to be reckoned with out on the field. In fact, they had 2 matches against 1678 at Silicon Valley, where 604 emerged with either a tie or victory out of the 5 matches they played against each other. Their auto abilities are also deeply impressive. One thing that might hurt their ability to rank high is their lack of a trap capability, although it is not out of the question for that to have been added since Silicon Valley. Our other contender for this event is Team 5419 Berkelium. This team has the unique ability to intake from all 4 sides of their robot, which they used to great effect 2 weeks ago in Port Hueneme. Their omnidirectional intaking proved quite effective in both teleop and auto, allowing them to very efficiently clean up their wing when left to their own devices. Their shooter is also quite high up, which may give them the ability to shoot over blockers. They also have the ability to score in the trap, which they demonstrated multiple times at Port Hueneme, which could also prove beneficial in picking up ensemble ranking points. With time to practice driving and tune auto, I fully expect these guys to perform very well at Sacramento. Finally, a dark horse that could surprise our locks and contenders at this event is Team 2551 Penguin Empire. This team made their second appearance at championships last year due to being the first pick of the finalist alliance at last year's Sacramento Regional, alongside the previously mentioned 5419. The team from Novato, California is coming off a performance last weekend that was screaming of potential. With a shooter that appears to be on a virtual 4-bar, they demonstrated their ability to shoot from multiple locations. In the intervening couple of days, they will have had time to tune their shooting and maybe make some upgrades to their intake. If both of those are accomplished, they will be a team to watch out for this weekend. And so there is your forecast for this year's Sacramento Regional. I'm excited to see how all these teams play, and let's see if 254 and 1678 can keep their respective streaks going.
Thanks, Stanford. Now we're going to move on to the Finger Lakes Regional, where we have our correspondent Nick covering that event. Nick, take it away.
Jumping into your Week 3 forecast for the Finger Lakes Regional, we have 55 teams getting ready to duke things out in Rochester, New York. This event has been running for 20 years and is still going strong. This event has been tried and true for many local teams and is typically one of the first regionals that local teams compete at. These teams at this event have earned over 50 blue banners collectively, so it's definitely going to be a solid event. Starting with our first lock of the event, it is Team 27 Rush. They've already had a behind the bumpers on their robot, but you can also see a lot from their robot reveal as well. They decided to go with an over the bumper intake as well as an adjustable angle shooter. Their robot looks very well constructed, as per usual, and performed very well at their first event. They didn't quite make it to finals, but they are ranked first at Kettering 1 for the first in Michigan district. When they find their rhythm on the field, their cycles are smooth and consistent. And with that said, I think they'll be sure to lock it in at this upcoming event. Our second lock is Team 3015 Ranger Robotics. On premiere night, their robot reveal was met with lots of shock and awe. The movement and scoring across the field is super smooth, and I love their arm that can just extend over the other robots and still make their shots. Their auto modes look good, and being able to run their robot mostly based on sensor input is insane too. Like, auto scoring, auto cycles, it's just absolutely nuts. They had a tough go in Pittsburgh, and I cannot wait to see how they do in Finger Lakes. Moving to our first contender, we have Team 340 Greater Rochester Robotics. 2023 was a tough season for 340, as they typically perform very well year over year. They really turned things around, however, at Racha Ruckus in the offseason with the solid cube runner robot, and it looks like this year's robot has more of that 340 magic that we have come to enjoy. Their machine has a solid intake to shooter handoff and is very smooth, moving around the field. They were, however, ranked 35th in Pittsburgh, but got picked by the 8th seeded alliance. This alliance made it all the way up until finals, which is a really good showing for their first regional. I think this robot would be a great complement to any alliance, especially as a first pick or second pick. Our next contender is Team 694 Stipulse. This team is no stranger to building some solid machines, and this year their robot looks very solid as well. Sporting an under-the-bumper intake and solid speaker and amp scoring, this robot really is the whole package. They were ranked 7th at the South Florida Regional and made it all the way to semifinals. And last but not least, our Dark Horses Team 870 Rice. Taking a look at their robot last year, they were world finalists and definitely packed a punch. If they've continued to build a simple yet effective robot, we might see another great season from them. Overall, I think this is going to be a super engaging event, and I cannot wait to see these teams compete.
We hope you're enjoying this video here on Fun. If so, do make sure you click that subscribe button to stay up to date on all Fun YouTube videos and give the video a thumbs up. It really does help. We'd like to thank this show's sponsor, Kettering University, for their support of Fun. Those who are accepted in the Kettering University are eligible to receive up to $5,000 a year in a robotics scholarship. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to get more information about Kettering University and the robotics scholarship. Over 30% of those who attend Kettering University were in high school robotics, so go attend somewhere that has so many other people like you at kettering.edu/first.
Moving on over to the south, we have Tassif, who will be covering the First in Texas Fort Worth event. Tassif, the stage is yours.
Fort Worth is already forecasted to be an amazing event. With 34 teams, 16 have already competed. And Fort Worth is already, according to Robotics, has the 5th highest mean EPA. So this is going to be a really fun event. So I'm really excited to get done with my locks, contenders, and dark horse. For my first lock, I have Waco winner 3005 Robochargers. Robocharger has an amazing shooter, and their EPA after Waco was 35.7, which is really, really high, and they're number 2 in Texas and 21 worldwide. 3005 Robochargers, knowing them, they're gonna come out to Fort Worth and do something amazing, have amazing performance, and try to win Fort Worth for the 3rd time in a row. Now, for my second lock is actually their alliance partner from Waco, 2468 Team Appreciate, number 1 in Texas, number 19 worldwide, with a total EPA of 35.9 coming out of Waco. They look like they are hovering on the field, like they're playing some sort of ice hockey game. They both won Waco together, and they were doing the passing strategy. Team Appreciate was doing amazing with their auto with 3005, and then going straight to the other side of the field and sending notes to 3005 to win. They went undefeated in playoffs, so I would not be surprised if we see these two together to win Fort Worth. Now, for my first contender is a team that played last week at Plano, Team 9752 It Can Robotics Junior. They came out of Plano ranked 7th, picked by 1296 for the 2nd seed alliance, and were finalists. Came out with a total of 23.2 EPA. Now, It Can Robotics Jr. is very similar to It Can Robotics. They both have a similar robot, 4-note auto, and is an amazing robot. I'm really excited to see how they perform at Fort Worth, because seeing them last weekend, they really showed off. And as a rookie team, sure, they have 9128 It Can Robotics to mentor them, but I'm pretty sure we'll see them show off amazing and be strong contenders in Fort Worth. My second contender is World's Team 6672 Fusion Corp. Now, we haven't seen much of this robot, but I was able to get a snippet from one of the mentors, and they look very clean. Sure, it's a very short clip, but we can easily tell they can shoot. They seem to have some sort of arm mechanism with a gear and sprocket, chain and sprocket. So I would not be surprised to see them do have some trap scoring, some amp scoring, and knowing 6672, they have shown off. They've gone to Einstein's 2 times in a row. I'm pretty sure they're trying to make it 3 times in a row. So I'm really excited to see what they have. Right now, Statbotics is estimated for them to have a 22.8 EPA, but I think it's going to be higher after Fort Worth. Now, finally, for my dark horse, I have 41.8 Purple Haze. They competed last week at Belton. They ranked 3rd, but they went 0-2 in the playoffs. They come out of Belton with a 21.7 EPA, but I think they're going to come back. Knowing Purple Haze, they have a history of coming back strong. I can see them coming to Fort Worth, proving themselves to be a top contender, top dark horse for Fort Worth, and who knows what might happen. They have a 4-note auto, and I'm really excited to see them hopefully fix some issues that they had at Belton to be able to come up with a very close chance at Fort Worth.
Thanks, Tassi. Now we're going to send it on over to Nick, who will be covering the Central Illinois Regional. Take it away, Nick.
Next event is the Central Illinois Regional in Peoria, Illinois. In the past, it has set records for what teams can accomplish in matches, and this season is looking to be no different. For example, there are 4 2023 division finalist captains and first picks attending, alongside world champions 4096 Control-Z. Some attending teams have already been successful this season, such as 325 Respawn Robotics, who were the winning alliance captains at the Greater Pittsburgh Regional in Week 1. Most of these teams are seeing the field for the first time, so it will be interesting to see these teams develop their strategies across the event. With all the action we're going to be seeing over the next few days, Let's take a look at our forecast for locks, contenders, and a dark horse going into this event. My first lock, or a team that I would be surprised to see not do incredibly well, is going to be 1756 Argos. They've had incredibly powerful performances over the past few years, both making championship division finals and winning this regional for the past 4 seasons straight. This robot is looking to be strong too, with a unique elevator-mounted shooter that, in addition to the speaker, gives them easy access to the amp and trap, as well as the ability to shoot over tall defense robots. Their past reliability and capable-looking robot make me incredibly confident in their abilities going into this event. My other lock is 111 Wildstang. They've won all of their regionals since FRC competitions restarted after the COVID shutdown and have ended up in a top 4 championship division alliance in both of those years. They've put a lot of work into making a reliable robot that can do everything except the trap very efficiently, with an effective intake and well-controlled handoff to their scoring devices. This reliability, paired with their incredibly successful track record, makes me feel that they will do very well later this week. My first contender, a team that, while not quite a lock, I still have very good feelings for, is going to be 2481 Robotics. They have an incredibly strong history, making this event's final 7 seasons in a row and winning it in 5 of those seasons. Last year, they ended up serving as the 8-seed Alliance captain on Hopper, and at IRI helped post a clean score of 210. The robot this season shows promise to perform well, with a solid speaker shot that works while moving and an extendable arm to drop notes off in the amp. With these performances in mind, I have high hopes for them moving along into the regional. My final contender is going to be 325 Respawn Robotics. Already, they're showing an incredibly strong season, winning their first event in team history as the 2-seed captains at the Greater Pittsburgh Regional. They targeted being a reliable speaker bot and absolutely did that, with an ability to easily pick up notes from the floor and quickly score them from the subwoofer. This gave them a strong performance in Pittsburgh, and I absolutely believe this will serve them well in Peoria. Last, but certainly not least, is my dark horse, a team that, while they don't necessarily have as much name recognition, I think is absolutely someone to be watching during the regional. My pick is 8122 Mechanical Mustaches. This is only their 4th season attending a competition, but they have made the most of those years. They won both of their regionals in 2022, and in 2023 were a first pick at both of their competitions. This year, they're looking incredibly strong, producing a robot with quick abilities at both the speaker and amp, ending up as the first pick of the 6-seed alliance and making a deep run through eliminations at the Northern Lights Regional. I've loved seeing them improve over the past few years, and I think they have good prospects for this regional. I wish all of Peoria's teams, both listed here and not, the best of luck during this event. And if you're also going, I look forward to possibly meeting you there.
Thanks, Nick. Now we're going to move on over to the 1st Michigan District, where we have our correspondent Tyler covering the Ann Arbor event. Tyler?
Welcome back to Michigan this week as we see a return of an old event. It has been 8 years since Skyline High School has been able to hold a competition, and it is looking to be a strong one. Ann Arbor is set to have 42 teams competing as 31 teams look to play at their second event, and 11 are debuting for the first time. An impressive 4 teams were able to walk away with a banner in the last 2 weeks, as 3 more look to join them this week. It is setting it up to be one of the most competitive events in Michigan. Going into our first lock, I'm going to have to give it to 1076, that is Pie High Samurai. With their first event being at Jackson in the FIM District, they ended up on an impressive journey with a 10-2 rating at the end of qualification, ranking 2nd overall. At the end, they ended up pairing with 6081 Digital Dislocators and 8424 Tractor Technicians Next Generation. Ended up getting their 2nd win ever in the team history, with their last one being at 2019 in the FIM District, Livonia. With their effective 3-note auton that ends at the center, they will be With their effective 3-note auton that ends at the center line, they'll be able to work well with some of the other teams on this list. In Teleop, they ended up being very efficient at the amp, scoring both notes in the amp in about 20 seconds when they were running it. They were able to keep their other bots scoring into the speaker, which really made their alliance work. I think this robot is going to be a steal for anybody that is able to work with them, and I'm excited to see what they can do at this Ann Arbor event. Our second lock is going to be a fun one as they have a score to settle with one of our contenders coming up, and that's going to be 4362 CSBA Gems. I think Gems is a strong Auton team starting on an offside angle and attempting to put 4 notes in on a match. What I like about this Auton is they make room for their teammates to start on any of the three sides. Looking at their tally-up, they are a strong all-arounder, being able to quickly score into the amp and speaker. The match I was watching, they were able to put 8 notes zooming across the field. I think this comp will be settled on who can maximize their amp capabilities, as a lot of robots will be able to work with the amp. Going into our first lock is the other side of that rival coin, it's 67, the hot team. With a 4-piece Auton starting at the amp, they were able to work with 503 and build an Auton that was able to grab almost every note on their half of the field. I think that readiness to build an Auton to work with their teammates is a great trait to have. Going to tally up, they were also putting about 8 to 10 pieces, which I think is going to be the higher up mark when it comes to playoffs. Though they were having a little bit of a jamming issue, and if they can fix that at Ann Arbor, they will be a golden bot. Looking at their defense, though, they ended up being one of the most suffocating robots in playoffs and really ended up stopping those other alliances from scoring. The hero tomorrow's being that adaptive robot will be pulling out all the stops for their second win. And my second contender is going to be 302 the Dragons. This is another team that I personally get to see a lot of work with, as 302 lets us use their practice field so we work on autonomous and full field cycles, and I am forever thankful for that. Looking at the robots, I do think they have one of the more weaker Autons, being a little slow getting to that center line, but they are still able to put 3 notes in autonomous. Where they really shine is Teleup, being able to get that 8 pieces in Teleup, bringing their total to 11 pieces in a game. I think if they can get their Auton up to 4 and a little bit faster, they will be a strong contender for this list. Going over to our dark horse, I personally got to watch this team performance last week at Belleville, and I think they will be at another high-ranking team at Ann Arbor. This team is none other than 6615, the Bellevillians. Being able to compete with them in a match, we were able to see what they were capable of, and they were ready to deliver. Even with a weaker autonomous, they were dominating the teleup section, placing up to 10 notes in a single match, according to my scouting data. I think if they're able to work out an autonomous on that far side, they will be a high-ranking robot at this event. That's all from Ann Arbor. I'm Tyler from 7211, and good luck to all teams competing this week.
Thanks, Tyler. Now we're going to send it over to LJ, who will be covering the PNW Bonney Lake event. LJ?
Now, over here in the Pacific Northwest District, we will be looking at the Bonney Lake District event, located in Bonney Lake, Washington. While this event has only been around for 3 years, it's been packed with worlds-bound teams since its creation, and this year is no exception. Let's take a look at our locks, contenders, and dark horse. Our first lock for this event is 2910 Jack in the Bot, coming off of a win at their Week 1 event, Glacier Peak, and as of time recording, ranked 10th strongest EPA in the world. Statbotics estimates that they will be ranked first. Now, while many doubted their ability at their Week 1 event, they proved that pure fast cycle time will continue to get to the top of the rankings, despite the lack of an amp mechanism or a climber. Their turret is absolutely bonkers with over 500 degrees of freedom, and they're able to shoot from the wing line, which will help them especially in these early days of competition where defense will play a larger role and there will be a lot of congestion near the speaker base. 2910 has not lost the Pacific Northwest event since 2018, and I expect them to continue the streak this year. Our second lock is 2046 Bare Metal from Maple Valley, Washington. They have a very unique robot this year that we saw compete and win last week at the Oregon State Fairgrounds. With a mortar-style shooter and the capability to score amp and trap means they will be at the top of the rankings for the majority of qualifications. Not only that, but they already have 6-piece autos in auto amp shooting, making them a top robot in the district once again. Now, let's take a look at our contenders. Our first contender is 1778 Chill Out. Now, while they didn't make it to Worlds last year, they have one of the best spots in the Pacific Northwest right now, ranked 9th in the district and a finalist at their Week 1 event as First Alliance captain. They're able to shoot from podium and have a very fast aim mechanism which will help them a lot in the rankings. Our second contender is 7461 Sushi Squad from Redmond, Washington. We've been following their progress on the Open Alliance this year, and they have a very interesting design, opting for a pivoting vertical flywheel shooter on a 3-stage elevator, allowing for flexibility in shooting both amp and speaker while also keeping enough power to be able to shoot from the wing line. Our dark horse for this event is going to be 3218 Panther Robotics from Bonney Lake, Washington. They have an interesting bot archetype this year, featuring a pivoting pink arm with a shooter on a wrist. Now, at the first event, they didn't perform extremely well, being eliminated in round 10, match 1 as 5th Alliance captain, but their bot archetype has a high ceiling, and considering how they did last year and the year before, I expect them to exceed their past performance. Good luck to all the teams performing here. I'm excited to watch this event.
Thanks, LJ. Now we're going to move over to FMA, where we have Steven covering the Springside Chestnut Hill event. Steven?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home of the Liberty Bell, cheesesteak, and Rocky Balboa. That's where 29 teams from Pennsylvania and New Jersey will be converging this weekend, looking to duke it out for points and glory at the Springside Chestnut Hill district event. There's a pretty impressive roster of talent at this weekend's event, including not one but two Hall of Fame teams. Also some former division champions and former district champions. So let's dive in. My first locked-in pick for this week is going to be 2539, the Krypton Cougars and their robot Rhapsody. Fresh off their Week 1 win at Hatboro-Horsham District event, these otherworldly cats have proven themselves to be one of the most balanced offenses in the Mid-Atlantic District so far, with an overall EPA of 31.7 going into the event. They were already rocking a 5-piece auto in Week 1, and in teleop, their fast swerve drive and under-the-bumper intake mean that typically they've already picked up the note and are running back to score before anyone can even catch them on defense. My second locked-in pick for this event should come as no surprise to anyone, and that's 341 Miss Daisy. This Hall of Fame team has won this event the past 2 years running, and this week they look poised to cement a dynasty in the record books with a third win. Not only that, but they are looking for revenge after losing to 2539 in the finals at Hatboro-Horsham in Week 1. Like 2539, they're also a very strong autonomous team, with just a few more kinks to work out on their sequencing. But they were already showing the potential for a 6-piece auto in finals 2 at Hatboro. So with 2539 and 341, it's shaping up to be an autonomous slugfest for the number 1 spot. But autonomous is only 15 seconds of the match. Who's going to be fighting to keep the Cougars and Daisies in check this weekend? That's where my two contender picks come in, starting off with 1168 Malvern Robotics. They were finalists at Hatboro along with 341, and they previously won this event back in 2018. This year, their robot named Friarbot will be rolling onto the carpet in Philadelphia with an EPA of 24.7, and the only thing that seems to be holding them back from total domination this season is their lack of a climb for the endgame. But if they can stay out there and cycle enough game pieces, then that might just be a moot point for them. My second contender pick is going to be 2607, the Fighting Robo Vikings. These guys are super hungry to raise a blue banner for the first time since 2018. Don't believe me? Since 2018, they've been event finalists 5 separate times, including twice on a world championship field. Another extremely well-balanced robot with an estimated EPA of 26.3 going into the event. Looking at their performance in Hatboro in Week 1, they seemed a bit jittery in teleop, but their 5-piece auto will start them off with a huge advantage in any match where it's successful. And I think that 2 weeks of driver practice are sure to have smoothed out the rough edges for teleop. I expect them to be able to go toe-to-toe with any robot on the field this weekend. Finally, my dark horse pick for this week, I'm going to go with 2495 Hive Mind. Still buzzing from their first blue banner in over a decade last week in Allentown, I'm predicting that these guys aren't done telling their story this season. At Allentown, they proved themselves a strong support player, with a 2-piece auto, a great sense of the field, reducing their cycle times by grabbing notes that are already on the field, instead of going back to the loading station, and they also proved that they could easily pull off a 2-robot climb with only seconds left on the clock. Be on the lookout for 2495 come Alliance selection time, where I think they will make an invaluable addition to any of our locks or contenders' potential playoff alliances. Good luck to all the teams in Philadelphia this week, and I'll be back in 2 weeks for another FRC forecast of the NE UNH event.
Thanks, Stephen. Now we're headed over to the Ontario District, where we have our correspondent James covering the Durham College event. James?
The Ontario District Durham College event has quite the collection of competitive teams, and will certainly be an event to keep an eye on this weekend. With a smaller event of just 27 teams, every match is going to be quick, high-scoring, and invigorating all the way through. Without further ado, let's take a look at the teams that will make Durham College a fantastic event. Our first lock is our only international team, traveling all the way from Lapeer, Michigan, Team 5460 Strike Zone. Strike Zone was captain of the World Finalist Alliance in 2023, falling short 209 to 208 on Einstein Field. Strike Zone competed Week 1 at Kettering No. 1 in Michigan, and while not dominating, they revealed a stellar robot. Tyler caught up with them in their pits, and we got a fantastic look at this clean design. In combination with their elite strategies, I expect 5460 to rank 1 and win the Durham College event. If you switch around those last two numbers for Strike Zone, you get our second lock, Open Alliance, Team 5406, Celtex. Their team has built 3 robots this season, and their experience will certainly help their success this week. Early in the season, we saw their Simple Zero bot, followed by their prototype bot Beta. Their competition bot has still been seeing steady progress, and I expect it to thrive this weekend. With an efficient trap scoring mechanism, smooth scoring of notes in both the amp and the speaker, and many more features I'm sure we will discover, I expect 5406 to be a top robot this weekend, and I predict that 5406 will be a member of the winning alliance at the Durham College District event. Our first contender is somebody we don't know enough about, Team 1241 Theory 6. 1241 is a high caliber team and could have been considered a lock, however we simply don't have that much information on their 2024 robot. In the past, 1241 has been in the upper echelon of Canadian teams, with 26 blue banners and a beautiful 2013 championship banner. Assuming 1241 comes out as usual, I expect Theory 6 to contend for the Durham College title. Our next contender is a reigning world champion, Team 2609, the Beaverworks. Beaverworks was a clutch member of the undefeated Hopper Alliance last year, stepping in for Control Z in match 11 of the Einstein tournament. They executed their role well and took home what every robotics team dreams of, a world championship. A world championship typically comes with a boost to your entire program. Take 3175 Night Vision and 6672 Fusion Core, for example, after their 2022 world championship. I hope 2609 holds true to that trend and contends here at Durham. My dark horse for this event is Team 7902, the Markham Firebirds. With a cool name like that, you have to be good, right? They were finalists last week at the Centennial College event as part of a well-rounded 8 seed, and I expect them to take their experiences to heart and fight their hearts out at Durham. Overall, I can't wait to see how Durham plays out. Make sure to let us know who you think we should have included in the list, and keep an eye out for Dark Horse 7902. Best of luck to all teams that compete this week as they fight to qualify for provincials.
That concludes this episode of FRC Forecast. I hope you enjoyed our predictions, and let us know down below who you think the locks, contenders, and dark horses of your event are. For now, I'm Angel Miranda, and you are watching FRC Forecast.
This video on fun is brought to you by viewers like you and also in partnership with the following. Discover how Kettering University students engineered their success with Kettering's amazing co-op employment programs where students earn great pay and gain valuable experience. Those accepted into Kettering University can apply for a robotics scholarship, providing up to an additional $5,000 a year in tuition assistance. Head on over to kettering.edu/first to learn more and apply.